Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Union Pacific Railroad Evanston subdivision in HO Scale. My name is Daryl Cruz, owner, builder, and operator of the layout, and your host for episode 36, a weekly update for today, October 2nd, 2023. This update comes to you a day late, I'm afraid. Usually do this on Sundays. Usually get better views on Sundays, but sometimes I got things to do on Sundays. It doesn't always work out, which was the case yesterday. Beautiful day outside. Spent the day watching softball games for my granddaughter, and had a great time, but I was able to do the update, and so I'm going to present it to you. This here is our excursion train. I did have an operating session on Saturday. Had 11 people here, and we had a great time running trains. One gentleman brought his son Logan along, which was awesome. He's like 12 years old, and this is the very last train of the operating session, and it's being run by Logan. There he is. He was a little camera shy, but he definitely loved running trains. He and his father worked together as a crew, and it was really kind of cool to see them working together on trains. They had a couple of trains that had work to do at Wholesome Cement, and it was just really fun to see them working together. Good to get some youth involved in model railroading. Again, this was the last train of the session. Usually we run the excursion train last. We tried to live stream this on Saturday. Didn't work very well. We'll try again next time. But definitely had a great time at the op session. Thanks again. My phone is going off. I'm going to turn that off. You can hear some of the talking in the background. But thanks to everyone who came. Special thanks to Chris Shazeski, who was my dispatcher again, does a great job. And then John and his brother did the yard. They did a great job with that. And we definitely had a lot of fun with everybody. This excursion train is an Athearn FEF. Got a real good sale on that at Lombard Hobbies. Also got the 4015 ST70. That's the 4015 that UP uses with the excursion trains, and then the cars, the passenger cars, are by Walther's Proto, and I think 7 cars altogether. I think I only have 6 of them going right now. Again, got all these at Lombard Hobbies. I think they still have, I was just at Lombard Hobbies, I think they still have some FEFs left at the sale price. Don't think they have any more of the 844, but they might. But anyway, had a great time at the live session on Saturday. Then I did get some work done on the railroad. If you recall, I've been working on the upper level here at Evanston. This is actually between Peru, which is on the eastern end of the subdivision, and West Vaco control point. It's above Evanston, but the actual trackage is part of the Evanston subdivision between Peru control point and West Vaco, just outside of Green River. And did not decide to do the scenery right there, but from this point where the masking tape is, I taped over the signals, as you can see. And as you can also notice, I did take down the backdrops. They're on the floor, and covered up the lower level with some plastic tarp type of material. And then went to work. And again, the procedure is some desert sand paint, followed by some yellow grass, fine yellow grass by Woodland Scenics, ground foam, and some burnt grass on top of that, and then some more yellow grass, and then some also did some static grass. I did a little bit, I think, a little bit better job on the static grass. I found that one thing that kind of makes it not look realistic is if you get a clump somewhere. So I clumped up right there. You can kind of see there was a few places where I put it down a little too thick. It doesn't look realistic to me if it's down real thick. You just got to put it down lightly. It looks a lot better. But then if I did put it a little too thick, then I just put some fine ground foam on top of it. You notice I had already put one of the backdrops back on after I did that. Also have the masking tape removed. So here's it with the backdrops. Definitely looks a lot more realistic once you get the backdrops up. That makes a huge, huge difference. I put some trees up at the seams again to kind of cover that up. I'm going to try and look at ways that I might be able to use telephone poles instead. I'm still kind of toying with that idea. And I didn't use as many trees. I kind of reduced the number of trees. And one thing I think I am going to do, just stick with the blue. It really, I think it really looks good. A lot of people recommended black, which is, I know it's a good idea theater-wise and everything. It's no color, so basically your eye will ignore it. But the blue, I think, is even better because it disappears because it actually becomes part of the lower level backdrop. So I think that the blue, and I'll say a little bit more about that in a bit, but the blue, I think, really is what I'm going to stick with for now. May still change it. Then after I got that to that point done, then I just added a few more clump foliage for some little bit of foliage all around, kind of blended in with the backdrop. Kind of makes it all look a little bit more varied and a little bit more realistic. But everything I think looks pretty good. I'm really happy with the way it looks. This next week I'm going to ballast all this track, or at least some of the track. But I was really happy with the way that turned out. Now, I also did some track work. I built one more turnout here, number 10 right-hand turnout using Fast Tracks jigs. And this is at Granger now. And Granger is where the Pocatello Sub joins with the Evanston Sub. And so I kind of am representing that here with just one turnout. Now, at the actual prototype, there's a Y, lots of turnout sidings and everything. But I just have one turnout and then a track that represents the Pocatello Sub. And I had the track going on the other side of that support wire, but I decided to put it on this side just to make sure that this curve here was as broad as possible. So here we have, and I used some Atlas track I had. This is still Code 83, but you can see the difference between microengineering. The spikes are much more to scale. This is Atlas, big, huge spikes. Microengineering has much more to scale spikes, so that's why I use it. Looks a lot better in my opinion, but I had 5 pieces, so I did use 5 pieces for this Pocatello Sub. And been buying some gondolas and some more covered hoppers. I really love MKT. I'm not sure if it's modern enough. And I got these. I thought I could use these as cement hoppers, but it says glass sand only, so I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do that. Here's some gons. I was going through all my cars, and I really have a shortage of gondolas, so I'm going to be buying a lot of gondolas. If you notice, I have a DPU unit, and I'm running this train with one unit on each end. And I've seen trains run like this. Some shorter trains will run with one unit on each end. And I'm going to use that for the Pocatello Sub, because when I run it from the Pocatello Sub to Green River and then down the helix to the staging yard, at one point then I'm going to want to run it back up in the other direction and go back to the Pocatello Sub. So when we have operations, it's going to be a train coming from Green River going to the Pocatello Sub, train coming out of the Pocatello Sub going to Green River. And so at two different times there's going to be trains going back and forth and changing position. This looks really good, I think, coming out of the staging yard. Here we have 3 locomotives pulling a pretty long manifest train. That's a Scale Trains GEVO, followed by a Scale Trains Tier 4 GEVO and an Athearn then GEVO. So this is a train, just kind of show you what's going to be happening. This is a train that comes from Green River and it's going to the Pocatello Sub. And then it will, go on to the Pocatello Sub and theoretically go to points west from there. But then sometime during the operating session, I'll probably, now right now I just have 3 locomotives at the head end. I'll probably run this at 2 in the front and 1 in the back. And then we'll go ahead and have it run out to the Pocatello Sub. And then at some point in time, I'll probably move one of the locomotives from the back to the front, and then it'll become a new train and it'll run back to Green River. So as I said, all this second level work's being done from Peru, which is the point right as you get to the top of the helix, and then this is the West Vaco control point. So the scenery is completed, actually is completed up to this point. Still need to ballast. As I said, I'm going to be doing that. We'll be glad to get that done because then I'm going to start working on Evanston itself and do a lot of ballasting of Evanston. There's a couple places where I need some more backdrops. A road between the UTLX and Evanston, and some scenery work there. Here we are at the West Vaco yard. This is the West Vaco mine and plant for soda ash. There's 2 tracks that loads in, loads out, 2-track siding, and then a little yard for loading cars and so on. Now from West Vaco, then we're heading towards Granger. So it's not a real long trip. The trip from Green River to the Pocatello Sub and back is pretty short. Most of the trip is going up the helix or down the helix. But here we're coming up to the Granger control point, so we're slowing down. The upper level has a speed limit of 30 miles per hour, so we were going pretty good clip there for a little bit. But now we're slowing back down since we're going to have a red signal here. And then we'll wait for a train to come out of the Pocatello Sub. Now, one thing I'm going to have to think about is, since we have 2 different ways that we can diverge, one from one main to the other main. A second way of diverging is going off into the Pocatello Sub. So I might add a 3rd signal head to those. We'll probably put it below the existing 2. We'll have to see. I may just use a flashing red for diverging onto the Pocatello Sub, but I think the Union Pacific probably would have 3 signals there, so probably be adding a 3rd signal to enable the trains to go from the Evanston Sub onto the Pocatello Sub. And now this locomotive is a Scale Train's AC 4400. If you notice, I have not yet put the yellow striping on there. I did get some yellow stripes from Smokebox Graphics, and I'm going to see how that works. I've been using microscale decals to put the yellow striping on, but people have recommended using smoke box. So I'm going to try it out, see how it looks. It's a tape rather than a decal, so it's going to be a little bit thick, but we'll see how it looks. All right, so here we're coming from the Pocatello Sub onto the Evanston Sub, and we're going to come, you see we have the yellow signal there on the lower aspect, and so we're coming onto the Evanston Sub main line, and then we're going to be crossing over onto main track 2. So you can kind of see how this looks. Now this is pretty high, but I do have footstools around, so it doesn't take much to step up and kind of get a better look at the action. If you notice over there at Westvaco plant and mine for soda ash, I do have a platform. So when you're working there, you don't have to find a footstool. You just go step up on the platform. And then here we have the, this is a SD70 ACE by Athearn, serving as a DPU. I want to apologize, I did not turn on the headlight on dim here, which usually would be the case for a trailing DPU. But we're, as you can see, we're crossing over. So for the signals, I'll probably put at least a triple on the signal for main 1, which is what we're on coming into the Pocatello Sub. I could put one on the main 2 also, because there would be a possibility of going from main 2 and crossing over to main 1 and then going on to the Pocatello Sub. But I think I'll probably just start off on having a triple on the one we're going through right now. So the top would be for straight through, the middle one would be for crossing from main 1 to main 2, and the bottom one would be for going onto the Pocatello Sub. One of the people that operates with me is a management person, manager for the Metro line for the Union Pacific, and he was definitely giving me some good information. One thing he mentioned to me that I think we're going to try and incorporate is that whenever a train initiates movement, which means basically it starts off, they always turn on the bell and supposed to blow their horn twice. So I think I'm going to try and incorporate that into our operating scheme. I've been throwing a lot of things at our operators, a lot of rules on how fast they're supposed to go at different parts of the layout. We have like a timetable with all the specifications and things that they're supposed to follow. And I have whistle markers on when they're supposed to blow the horns and so forth. It just kind of adds to some of the fun. Some people really get into it and are pretty good about it. Other people are like, they're not really into worrying about all that stuff. If you go too far, it seems more like a job and work. So depending on who the person is, will kind of indicate how closely they're gonna follow the rules. But most of them, do a pretty good job. And to me, it just makes it more fun if you're following the same kind of rules that the prototype engineers would use. Again, mainly because the whole idea is that everything's as prototypical as possible. All right, so this is basically going to be the Pocatello Sub. We're just basically going to run in. Track will end here. I'll probably put some trees or something in front of this so that you don't see where it ends at the wall. But we will have to stop here, and then at some point in time, when nobody's looking, I'll probably have a DPU here, and I'll move a locomotive from the front to from the front to this front, kind of switch it around so the train can come the other way. So should be a lot of fun. Something, basically adding 4 more trains, even though they're short runs, but 4 more trains to the operating scheme. So here we have the Pocatello Sub train coming the rest of the way. He's crossing over to the left-hand main, which is main 1, which is generally not the main that it's supposed to be on, but it is going to need to take the staging yard spot of the train that just came up the helix. So we'll go ahead and take it down on the number 1 main, so it can go into a vacant staging yard slot. So next week, hopefully, we'll have some ballast work done here. Well, then we'll be in position to start working on the lower level. Now again, going back a little bit to the blue on the upper level fascia there, I think it's really going to look a lot better than any other color, because basically the track separation is like 9 to 10 inches. It's very, very close, and with it being blue, it basically extends the lower level up to the very top of the upper level. So basically the separation, when you look at it, the fascia basically blends in with the backdrop of the lower level. So the separation, instead of being 9 inches, is 12 inches, or instead of being 10 inches, is 13 inches. It definitely makes a difference. And so I think I'm definitely going to leave it that way. I might put a black stripe at the tops a little bit, but kind of liking the way it looks right now, so I think that's where I'm going to stay. So here we are now going back into the helix, and we'll be going down into the staging yard. Thanks so much, everyone, for watching. Make sure you subscribe and like and comment. Definitely appreciate all that. Sorry this video is a day late. Hopefully we'll do another video sometime midweek, maybe a live video at some point in time, or a review of some sort. And then, of course, we'll try to get the weekly update back on Sunday this coming week. So, again, thanks for watching. Everybody have a great week. Take care.